There are many comic book adaptations of the monster of Frankenstein, but these are my favorites. Dick Briefer's Frankenstein. There is a collection by Dark Horse of the 7 first Frankenstein issues. There is also a very beautiful, as always, Craig Yo book by IDW, which is a selection. But PS Artbooks did a complete collection of everything that Dick Briefer did with the Frankenstein character. Also the appearances of Frankenstein in Price Comics. PS Artbooks seems to print the best scans available of these old comic books, straight from the Digital Comic Museum, so to speak. And PS Artbooks usually does a minimal restoration. Sometimes they get a bit muddy and blurry, but mostly this series of Frankenstein has been a success. The great thing about PS Artbooks is that they dig deep into non-Marvel and non-DC territory. Dick Briefer started this series in 1940, very close to the look and feel of the original novel by Mary Shelley. It's just a horror comic. Also, it reminds me of the Boris Karloff version in the Universal movies of the 30s. These 40s comics have this typical stiff figure type of drawing, which I really love actually. That's why I love 40s comics. So that's the first period of Dick Briefer's Frankenstein. And in 1945, Frankenstein got his own comic book. Frankenstein, his nose goes up and the comic turns funny. It also reminds me of John Stanley, Charles Addams. So from 1945 to 1948, Dick Briefer's Frankenstein is more like a comedy. It's wildly absurd, very creative in a kind of Basil Wolverton kind of way. He's like a real author in the comics field. It's very interesting to see how this run started as a horror comic, then went into funny territory, and then ended up as a horror comic again. But if you know something about comics history, you know why. At the end of the 40s and in the beginning of the 50s, there's actually a golden age of horror comics, mainly started and ignited by the best publisher of comics ever, I think. EC Comics started a huge horror trend. So Dick Briefer jumped the bandwagon and made Frankenstein horror again, like Johnny Craig or Bob Powell. But then, together with every horror comic, in 1954 the run ended because of the Comics Code. Dick Briefer can do anything. I'll try to put some links down below where you can find the stuff I've mentioned. I really like to hear your comments about these comics. Please let me know if you know similar comics, because I would die to know them. I really like these comics and I want to read more of them. Hit like and subscribe. Bob Fish presents.